Well, hello, folks. Thanks for joining me today. This should be reasonably quick, unless anybody's got stuff that they want me to demonstrate or dive into a little deeper or anything like that. I just figured I was going to do this last week, but with the server migration and everything, the site was too down, as in the site was down, so I couldn't. But just going to kind of walk through how to access the library primarily, and give some sort of a suggested flow for how to attack the material in the library, because there's an awful lot of it. And certainly the newer folks coming in now have a big challenge ahead of them as far as like, where do I start? What do I do? What order do I do things? Those of us who came to TRG 2 years ago, 3 years ago, in more of its formative days, there wasn't nearly as much content. There was still a lot of content and it was still overwhelming, but there was nowhere near as much as there is now. So let me just see if I can give some pointers on how to get started with it all. So first things first, accessing the library. There's a couple different ways to do it. And one is, of course, to go to tradingresearchgroup.com, the home page, and go into my account. Of course, you have to log in. I will already be logged in, obviously, but you would have to log in, and then you can go over here and click on library. But all this is a link, right? If you look in the lower left-hand corner of the screen down here, you'll see it pops up tradingresearchgroup.com/library, which means you can just go here to /library, right? But better than that, all of the modern current browsers these days will autocomplete based on recent places you've been. So if I just literally go to the top of my address bar here, and I just in an empty address bar type library, the very first thing that comes up is tradingresearchgroup.com/library, because what else do I go to that has library in the URL? It's pretty unusual. So I literally just go to the address bar, type library. I don't even have to type library. I can type lib and it fills it in. And then I hit return and presto, I'm in the library. And that is by far the quickest and easiest way to get there, I find. Of course, you can also bookmark it. This is just a URL like any other. So, if you hit Control D on Windows, Command D is usually the shortcut on Mac. You can add a bookmark, library, trading research group, blah, 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 put it in a folder. It's depending on how organized you want to get. And I don't care. So, easy way, quick way to access the library without having to go click through, log in and go to the members area and go click the library button and all that. You can just go straight there by typing, again, lib, and it comes right up. I literally just go lib, return, boom, I'm there. So as far as the content in the library goes, of course, video is going to go out to people who aren't necessarily TRG members and to other free course students and things like that. So I will real quick touch on this. Library passes. If you are not a TRG member, of course, TRG members get unfettered, unrestricted, all you can eat access to everything in here. But non-members can just pick up a library pass. If you just maybe you want to dip your toe in, you're not really sure about this TRG thing and what's their content like and everything like that. Do I want to become a member? There's a good way to find out. You can just grab a 24-hour library pass, $10. And, if you could watch everything in the library in 24 hours, you could do it. Good luck. It would be hard. Your brain would explode, but you could do it. Or if you want a week or a month, whatever. So you can just peruse the library if you want without having to be a member. And we've had a number of people come in and do that, and they get a feel for what's the teaching like, what are we talking about, what's the material like, et cetera. And then they go, wow, okay, I want to be able to have people to talk to about this. In which case, having full TRG access and beyond the live classes and everything is really good, and it's a better value. Obviously, these are not the best value at all, but they are a great way to just drop a little tiny bit of money, get a feel for it, and then become a member if you want to go deep. Let's see. As far as where to start, there's no one way. This is the challenge here, is there isn't a singular obvious way to do this. It's going to depend a lot on you, your learning style. Different people like different kinds of material. Some want excruciating detail. Some want high level, just the bullet points overview. Some people hate videos. They're too slow. Jeff, right? Jeff's always complaining about how he can't stand watching videos because it's so slow. He can't just speed read it. And then, other people love video. They learn best by video and best by example. And some people want to watch on high speed, and some people don't. It's very individual and unique. But probably the place I would start if I were coming in today. And when I started, most of this content wasn't here. But if I were starting today, assuming, pardon me, assuming I had no real knowledge or anything to go on about order flow and volume at price and so forth, I would probably want to start with Lee's structure and microstructure classes, because they are essentially a live version of the Tickmaker courses. He created his curriculum, his syllabus, based on the Tickmaker courses. That's the idea. They are supposed to be a partner, an add-on to those. So they are addressing the same material, but in a live context, and where he can draw pictures and give illustrations and show live market examples sometimes and things like that. So it's sort of an interactive live version of the Tickmaker courses, but it will give you the best fundamental understanding, in my opinion, of volume at price and, delta and a footprint and, reading a DOM and trading a DOM, et cetera. And all of those things, having a solid understanding of microstructure is extremely useful when you're doing price action scalping. And it may not seem like it at first glance. It's easy to kind of look at price action scalping and structure as two wildly different, unrelated things. And this has been one of our challenges with TRG of organizing and presenting the materials, because we just intuitively keep coming back and keep landing at this idea of it's price action versus structure. And it really isn't that, because the price action is behaving around structure and microstructure, and the structure and microstructural levels, they inflect and they move based on price action. So these two things are very closely interlinked. And if you have a really solid understanding of the terminology of microstructure and understanding who's in control, or is the passives, the aggressives, the buyers, the sellers, and how to read delta, that can hugely help to inform your price action scalping. Just one example of that for just a quick and easy example is the LRCs, right? Everybody tends to come in. I know I did, and I've seen it over and over with other people, comes to LRCs, linear regression channels, that Jeff uses as sort of a training wheels guide to the recent range. And the assumption is always you buy the bottom of the range and you sell the top of the range. Period. Right? That's it. That's what you do. You sell the top, you buy the bottom. And of course, that's absolutely not true. But it's an automatic thing that we all just kind of fall into wanting to do. It just feels better. We don't like buying the top of the range, and we don't like selling the bottom of the range because it just feels wrong. But depending on how the LRCs are interacting with and around microstructure, that might be the exact right thing to do. And you'll be better able to see that maybe that's what's happening if you sort of layer what's happening in the price action along with understanding the volume at price and looking at the delta and looking how it's building up in a certain area. Oh, there's absorption happening here, that kind of thing. So I would start here. Lee's classes are also kind of short and sweet, and they're very, no pun intended, they're very structured. They're very orderly and organized, and every class is pretty much delivered exactly the same way almost every time. There's a few variations, but it's pretty much the same class over and over again. At some point, we are going to go through the individual recordings of each one of these classes, the tools classes and the setups classes, and we're going to cherry pick what we think to be the best one of each, because we ran these for four or 5 months, something like that. So we've got like 4 or 5 months of all of each of these classes. And right now, this section of the library, if I go into like tool classes, for example, it will only have the most recent month. So this is one set of these classes. But again, we did these many, many, many times. So we're going to pick the best one of each. They're fairly similar, but every once in a while, there was like a particular point that just came across really well in a particular one. Or maybe there was a live market example one particular time that was just so perfect that didn't happen other times. So one of these days, we're going to have to take the time to go through all of these and pick the best ones. But for now, definitely you can just watch what's there, and it will give you, these are mostly half hour to an hour tops. So this will give you a really solid understanding of the fundamentals. You could rip through all of these in a day if you are ambitious, certainly over a weekend, no problem. And again, they're very clear and very digestible versus Jeff's price action stuff. It's based on like what's going on in the market at any given time. And there's really no two classes that have ever been exactly the same. They're different every time, because what's the price action doing today? And it's always going to be very variable. So I would start here, and then I would add the price action stuff. Now, that is kind of contrary to what Jeff has always asserted, which is that price action is so much easier than structure. It's much easier to understand and get going with and make money with, and so on and so forth. I think that's a very individual thing. I did not find that to be the case. I spent 6 months beating my head against the wall because the price action stuff just didn't suit me. It just didn't click. It didn't connect. And then I finally thought, and I avoided structure completely because I had heard that it's so much harder and it's for the advanced stuff, and I need to get the basic beginner stuff down first. And so I didn't touch any of the structural stuff. And of course, none of these classes existed then. But the clinics, which are down here, clinics, the old clinics around Delta and all that kind of thing. I didn't look at any of that stuff for 6 months, and then I finally did, and I realized, oh my God, for me, for my personality, for the way my mind works, this is where I needed to start. This is the fundamentals that I needed to understand. And now I'm at the point where certain price action elements are making more sense to me now. But I only can use them in a meaningful way around what I've taken from understanding what's going on in the structure and the microstructure. So you could do it any way you want. Like I said at the beginning, there's no one way, but this is what I would recommend for best chances of success. You want to understand this stuff first, and it's the easiest to digest material. It tends to be much more binary. The price action scalping approaches are very gray. They're very subjective. They're very, energy and feel and intuition and seat time. And, there's almost never anything objective that you can hang your hat on with price action scalping. It's always fluid, whereas structure and microstructure can give you binaries. They can give you absolutes. Oh, if this breaks, that's it. I need to get out of the way. I'm wrong, whatever, that kind of thing. So beyond that, though, I would start with structure, microstructure, then probably go through the price action scalping. After that, though, it becomes a lot more kind of follow your intuition. You can take a look at the playlists, and I've created these playlists. This was my early attempt before we had actually this structure to the classes, before we had any of these classes. I tried to organize the existing clinics and materials into some playlists that were kind of by personality type and sort of interest area. Like if you were, absolute scalping nut, well, Scalper's Delight is what at the time was all of the clinics and workshops and everything about Jeff's methods, without every single one of his ad hocs and every single one of his Sunday reopens and every single one of his open fives and, just the endless mountain of content. And I tried to keep them focused. So for example, if I pop this open in a new tab, you can see here, I tried to put them in a sensible order as well, although really the order kind of came down to the dates they were released, because really the material has always built on what has come before. So this one here is actually from the 2019 workshop. It's video number 15. And some of you will remember this. It's about delusions. This is a really good session to understand because most people, I think, at least my observation has been most people approach trading and come to trading filled with delusions about how easy it's going to be and how much money they're going to make and how fast, and they're going to be a gazillionaire in a month, and whatever it's going to, or they're going to turn on their magic algo box and just print money. I've been there. I think most of us probably have at some point. But then it just goes through the process, playbook, and setups, and then the scalping workshop from 2021. And then it ends with scalping volume at price microstructure, which is actually a very recent class. Lee just did this a couple weeks ago, but it's scalping. It's specific to scalping with the microstructure, though. So it is on the Scalper's Delight playlist, but it's the last thing in the playlist because it's the most recent. But, this is, if you're a scalping junkie and that's your thing, that's what really draws you, then you probably want to go take a look through these. And of course, other things too. If you're a detail freak and you want to understand every piece of the numbers of what's going on in the market, the volume at price and the deltas, and you want to really go deep down that, well, Delta Obsession. That was the idea behind that. Was I gathered up every single thing that was related to volume at price, delta, et cetera, and I tried to put them all into a sensible structural order. And there's not that many things here. There's only 5 videos. It seems like, oh, that's not very much. But these are some of the heaviest videos in TRG. Especially, I think we're all used to Delta Deep Dive, which is an hour and something long, I believe. Let me see here. How long is Delta Deep Dive? It is, doesn't tell me. You don't tell me come on, hour and 47. There we go. So yeah, it's over an hour and a half long, and it gets really deep. So this is a heavy playlist, but if you're that kind of detail oriented, obsessive type who wants to really go down that rabbit hole and really understand what is going on, this is for you. You're definitely going to want to revisit this one probably a bunch of times. Most of us have watched Delta Deep Dive, for example, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 times. I mean, there's people who have watched it dozens of times. I've seen it about 3 or 4 times. I probably should revisit it actually now, because I have a far better grasp on Delta than I did back the first time I watched it. All right. So check out the playlists. Some good stuff there, organized in a reasonable way. After that, though, like I said, it's a little bit up to what suits you. Take a look, explore, and don't think that everything you see here is all that there is, because you'll want to check out see all content. If anything here has less than 4 items in it, then that's everything, because these are set to show 4 items, even if there's more. So like this one here, student's choice, there's only 2 items in student's choice. And I know that because there's only 2 items here. So I don't need to look at all content because it's only going to show me those 2 things. But roundtable discussions, for example, shows 4 things. But if I go to see all content, oops, let me close these 2. I don't need them. Pop that open in a new tab. I can see that, there's a whole bunch more roundtables. So any section here that has 4 items in it could have more. So you'll want to click on see all content and see what else is hidden in here. There have definitely been people in the past who thought this was the whole library. They never went deeper than this page. And there is definitely more for a lot of these things. So if you want more of a structured class approach to things, I would recommend you check out the old boot camps. Actually, let me think. Sorry. So the boot camps unlock, I forgot to mention this, they are not available right away, although if you have a library pass, they are. The library pass is everything, except for premium courses, which are separate paid classes. So you may not even see this section. But the boot camps will unlock for regular TRG members after 3 months of membership, or immediately if you are quarterly or annual. So if you're a brand new TRG member and you don't see boot camps in here, that's why. Give it 3 months and it will unlock, or you can upgrade your subscription to a quarterly or annual and it will unlock immediately if you really don't want to wait. But assuming you have access to these, I'd recommend checking out the boot camps if you like more structured class after class after class type approach to things. And again, that's after. I would still recommend structure, microstructure first, then probably price action scalping, and then work your way through other stuff. But yeah, if you want something that's an actual, it's a boot camp, then I'd suggest going through these. The old workshops are really good too. They are a little bit more topic specific. The boot camps are introduction to everything, to all of it, to structure and price action and volume of price and all of it. But the workshops are sort of pick a topic and dive deep on that. So they are really good. And workshops tend to only be maybe 2 to 4 sessions long, whereas the boot camps could be 5, 6, 7, 8 sessions. So rearranging the menus, Donnie, no, unfortunately, this is what we get. We have looked, when I say we, I mean I have looked at length at other library options. I don't like this. I'll be quite frank. Me personally, as a web, quasi web developer. I don't know. I don't really like calling myself a web developer, but I've built websites. I've built WordPress. I've done WordPress since 2006, version 1.1, something like that. So I've been around WordPress a really long time. I don't care for this at all, but there's no good library plugin. Everything I have found wants to turn your site into either Netflix or Pinterest, that kind of interface. And it's all pretty graphics and cover art and all this kind of crap. They want your library of media to look like iTunes or whatever. And I hate that. Or what's the other one that everyone uses? Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. Spotify, that's the word, Spotify. They all want to look like that, and I hate that. I just want something simple, and I don't care for this at all, honestly, but it's the best thing we have found, sad as that is. And this is all it gives us. There's no option to do any other type of layout or anything without building it ourselves from scratch. So sadly, nope, this is what we get. But if by chance, as I know we got a lot of techie people in the group, and there's web developers that have been in the group, and I'm sure there are some now. If anybody else ever comes across a library type content plugin or whatever for WordPress that maybe you see on another site using or something like that, that is really good, please let me know. I will definitely check it out, because I would love to find something better. I just haven't found that yet. But I don't want something that's super duper graphically heavy and force you to wade through images to figure stuff out. I want text. I want titles of things. I want to just see what's what. So anyway, I digress. So yeah, please, by all means, keep me posted if you know of something better. I would also definitely recommend checking out the old clinics. And the clinics are one-shots. So whereas workshops are multiple, 2, 3, 4, 5 sessions, the clinics are one-shots. And so we've got scalping, volume of price, microstructure, ledge break mechanics, etc. And I think there's more stuff in here as well. In fact, here, let's just take a look at it. I'm pretty sure there is. Oh yeah, lots of stuff. Yeah, I forget how many different clinics we've done over the years. So there's so much stuff in here, and they're all really good. But again, the clinics are one shots, so you just sit down. They're an hour long, hour and a half long, whatever. They go pretty deep on one topic, but they're something you can just sit down, absorb, consume, and go back to life. So if you don't want something that's an ongoing series of video 1, video 2, video 3, video 4, the clinics are a good place for you. But mostly you're going to get the most out of this simply by exploring, quite frankly. I have tried to title things in a way that is reasonably sensible and clear about what they are. And some things, have one item specifically in them, especially older material, like the older clinics. If I pop open, let's say like ledge break mechanic, whatever, scalping, volume of price, microstructure, you will see here, it is one video in here. That's it. Boom. And then there's all the other stuff that's in there on the left-hand side. Ugh, my scroll bar keeps hiccuping. And there's just a single video. But other stuff is a folder. Like if I pop open the Platform Prowess Sierra chart section, it is a playlist of all the different videos, and they are all organized in the newer style that I've been doing for the last, about almost a year now, probably. And you can just go through and pick which one you want to take a look at and go through them and, pick what you want. You also can, for those of you who are sort of more advanced web users, you'll notice something here. When I click a video here, actually, let's do this. Let me start again here from the top of this page. When you first open up one of these playlists, this is a playlist widget, is what our WordPress theme calls them. We use Elementor, and this calls this a playlist, right? And when you first open it up, here's your URL, and it just takes you to this page. But now watch what happens when I click one of these videos. Let's say I click this one, SC Tips and Tricks, and I'll pause it. Look at the URL. Notice it's got some sub-IDs in it. Playlist equals video equals, which means this is a direct link to this video in this playlist. So if you ever wanted to bookmark a particular video that's in one of these playlists because it's just super useful, you're going to want to revisit it, whatever, this is how you can do it. Make sure you click the video here in the sidebar in the list of videos, and then there's your URL. And if I bookmark this URL, it's going to take me straight to this particular video, and not just to the top level playlist. And then I got to go dig through and find the video. So that's another useful shortcut to keeping track of stuff so that you can get back to it in the future. Because a lot of times what I found watching these videos is, there's certain gems that jump out. And in fact, this might be helpful to some. This has been my approach to note taking on these, because I am a notorious horrible note taker. I am really bad at taking notes, especially on something live, because I find, for me, my brain, if I'm taking notes, I'm not listening. And if I'm listening, I can't write down notes. So I am absolutely hopeless at being able to take notes on something live. Recordings are a different story because, of course, I can pause the recording, write down my thought, back it up, hear it again, whatever. And so what I like to do with these videos, and I have a Google Sheets or Google Doc, just like, I don't even know how many pages, 20 pages long. I have no idea. It's ridiculous. From back in the day, where I would just watch a video and I would just kind of let it wash over me. I wasn't like super duper focusing on it, whatever. I would just kind of watch it and listen. But when something would jump out, something was said or shown that just leapt off the screen and made me kind of go, oh, whoa, hey, whoa, hold on. That was the thing that I pause it, back it up, watch it again, make sure I understand it, make a note of that thing. That's been my approach to note taking. That way, those are the things that prove to be important, is that they jump out at me, even if I don't really understand exactly why it jumps out at the time in the moment. If it jumps out at me, it's worth noting. So if you're the note taker type, maybe that'll be useful. Although if you're the note taker type, you probably have your own way of doing it that works for you. But that's what worked for me, and really helped me to remember things, to remember these key points that were leaping out off the page at me. And it also gave me a list of things to ask about when we had open Q&A sessions and everything. It's like that became my list of questions of what to ask Jeff or Lee about stuff. So let's see, what else? That's pretty much it as far as the library goes. There is a search mechanism. I mentioned this before. Unfortunately, the search sucks. The TLDR version of that is it sucks because WordPress wants to search in tags, which means I'd have to go into every single video on every single session we ever do and give it every keyword I can possibly think of that was mentioned or related to that session and put them all in as tags every single time. Hugely labor intensive. It also keys in on certain text, but it's inconsistent. It's been really driving me crazy. I'm not happy. I'm not satisfied with this search at all. We've tried a couple of different search plugins, and just, again, it's the way WordPress is designed. It wants tags, and any other kind of search is very poor. So like if I type something like, I don't know, let's go footprint. If I type footprint up here, I'm going to get a few things. And, okay, tools, classes, that makes sense. Yeah. Footprint charts, distinguish meaningful patterns. Okay. Yeah. Footprints and their patterns playlist. So this is actually not a bad set of results, but I assure you, this is not the only 4 instances of the word footprint in the library, but it's all it gives you. And I don't think there's a setting for how many results are returned. I'm gonna have to dig in and try to see if there's a way to change that. I don't know, but the search is at best. It's not great. So I recommend more than anything, explore. There's a lot of material here as far as if you're going to sit down and consume it all. But as far as just opening up a section and looking at what's in it, that's not bad. You just click it, open it, and look and say, oh, okay, what do we got here? Oh, okay. And these are categories of more stuff. So if I were to pop open, for example, Trader Personal Development, here we go. We get a playlist with 3 things about, personal development as a trader. So that's your best bet. Dig around, see what's in it, get familiar with it, bookmark the stuff that really jumps out at you or that you're going to want to come back to again and again, and just get familiar with kind of what goes where. And I do my best to name things in a sensible way, but inevitably I end up naming things in a way that somebody doesn't find intuitive or sensible and somebody else does. And there's just no winning. Unfortunately, there's no perfect organizational structure. I keep trying, but this is as good as I've been able to get it so far. So, all right. Well, that's a half hour on using the library. If there's any questions or anything about any of this or about anything TRG related at all, I'm happy to take them now. Otherwise, I think we can let everybody go back to your day already in progress. Tomorrow would be Wednesday, which means assuming that Jeff has power and all that good stuff, which apparently the weather where he's at and he's trying to move is still a total disaster. So he may not. I don't know. But I think if he does have power tomorrow, I believe he's going to be doing his trade in the open. So hopefully that works out and we get to do that session. And then, of course, we got Dojo tomorrow as well at the usual time. So if there is nothing else, we can leave it there. So we'll call this Burning Desires going once and twice. If there's anything else, throw it in the chat now. You are very welcome, Maria. Absolutely. You as well, Matan. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Appreciate you as always. And of course, if you think of something later that you think, oh, shoot, I should have asked him about whatever, ping me in the pit. You guys know how to find me. I'm always around. So happy to talk. All right. Have a great rest of your day. And if you're trading today, I hope you've got more valid setups to do and you're not just monkey trading. So have a good one. Talk to y'all soon. Bye.